Thank you for joining. This is Live with Miami's Community News, and our guest today is the town of Cutler Bay Mayor Tim Meerbott. Thank you for joining us, Mayor.
Thank you for inviting me again, Michael. Really appreciate coming.
Well, you're like the singing mayor. Tell us about that. Tell us about your musical talents.
I'm not the singing mayor. I'm a mayor that sings once in a while. We all sing in the shower, right? So every once in a while, some of the local bands, actually mainly Cutler Stew and Sailor Ripley, will let me do a song or two with them. So it's just become a staple. And if you know the words, I guess I'm not bad enough to not let me up there, and not good enough to keep me.
So it really plays with your memory. Go, yes, I know that one. Just get the first three verses in there, and I've got it.
Oh, I'm horrible with. I'm great with the tune. Everybody knows the tunes, but the words sometimes I have to have them written up there for me.
So this morning we were at Casa Cuba, and Professor Donald Jones and his wife was there. I started singing, they got a thing going on, right? Mrs. Jones. But let's talk about what is happening at the old Cutler Ridge Mall.
Okay. That would be, Old Cutler Ridge Mall, which then became Southland Mall. And again, so it was a long process because that property was really owned by three different people, and it's sort of like trying to herd cats to get everybody on board. So way back in 2000 and I guess 2010, we did a charrette and was kind of letting them know, all right, this is our vision for Cutler Bay. But getting the property owners to get on board with that was really difficult. So finally, all the property came under one ownership, and now they've come up with a beautiful design, and it's just going to totally transform not only the mall, but like I've said before, it's going to transform all of South Dade, because it's going to be the new hub of where people are going to want to live, where people want to work. It's going to include not only again, there's going to be 3,000 apartments going in there, which will certainly help with the housing crisis, but it's going to be bringing in 60,000 feet of medical space, 130.
And let's talk about the 3,000 apartments. Yeah. So that's easily 4,500 or 5,000 people are going to be there, and that means they're going to be spending money in the area.
That not only are they going to be spending money in the area, and when they spend money in the area, that creates the jobs in the area, because to go ahead and service them, you need the stores that sell them things, you need the restaurants that sell them things, places for them to go get entertainment, grocery stores. It's just the whole gambit. You need a spark to go ahead and make the entire hive come together, and this is it. So you're going to start seeing a transformation in South Dade. We already got all the major thoroughways there. We have the Turnpike, we have US 1, we have the $300 million busway going there. So everything's going right there. It passes through there, so it's a perfect spot for it.
Years ago, I remember hearing, where's the center of South Dade? And you know what kept coming up was that.
Yeah.
And so we've been through several generations and iterations of that mall. It's really going to be significant. This is going to be a true town center.
This is going to be a true town center. The designs are beautiful. They've done white papers on, many years ago they did white papers on where should this type of development take place. And a professor from Georgia that I've never met before asked me to come in and be part of a panel, because he identified this area as the perfect place for this type of redevelopment. So I'm really, really excited about it.
The Mercedes-Benz people must be celebrating. And how long has that Mercedes been there?
That's been there for at least 10, 12 years, maybe longer. They were one of the first to come in with a new design.
And they knew.
Well, yeah, they must have known. Our mayor then, Paul Vrooman, certainly was speaking to them a lot, and that's really what our jobs are, to make sure that the people in the business know what potential is there. And they did a great job back then of saying, hey, there's a good potential here. And right now, I think it's by far the most beautiful Mercedes-Benz dealership. It's easy to get to, easy for access, and
they do a lot of networking events for different business clubs. So.
Their showroom is like a ballroom. It's gorgeous. So I've been to many, many events there where it's it's not ballroom quality, but it's really, really close, and it's a gorgeous facility.
And are there plans from the county to have a walkover from one side of the east to the west? Is that discussion?
We are definitely in discussion with that. We've approached the county about having this complete, to have the walkway. Again, we remember the days of University of Miami where students couldn't get across the street. This is going to be, you have an active busway servicing a mall with, a $1.5 billion mall with 110,000 square feet of retail space and 60,000 square feet of medical space, hotels, the whole 9 yards. You better have some safe way to get across from the
Let's
the
talk about the
busway.
medical space. Tell us what it's going to be.
Well, we don't know what it's going to be yet, other than it's planned to have medical space. Now, I think you probably heard me say many, many times, anytime you want a medical procedure done, right now from Cutler Bay, you usually have to go to Kendall, no matter what it is. So, I just went up here today. I had to look at my knee looked at. I had a colonoscopy about a month ago. I had to come up here, and now those type of services can be offered right there in Cutler Bay. We've been talking to many of the major medical providers, HCI, Baptist, and all of them, and they're all interested in coming down and being a part of this. So I'm really, really happy that's going to finally happen.
Because when you have an immediate audience of 4,000 to 6,000 people that are going to be living there in the next 5 years or 8 years, 10 years?
5 to 6 years, I think, is going to take them to get that done.
Yes. So, and when you mentioned about the University of Miami, they have a crossover from one side to the next, to the other side of the highway. Really significant. And at Caribbean and US 1, that's a pretty big stretch to try to get across if you're walking.
It's 6 lanes plus 2 turn lanes and a median. So that's a little bit of a skedaddle, especially, can you imagine if you're an elderly person? It's like,
You mean somebody like 55 or older?
a little older, yeah, something like that. I appreciate that.
Okay, you're welcome.
yeah.
All right. So let's talk about the Legacy Park.
Legacy Park. That's another thing that is, this is an idea, again, people don't know what it's like. I said, imagine Central Park in Manhattan, but on Cutler Bay scale. This is 16 acres of beautiful green space that we're going to have, and it's almost in the exact center of the town, so it's going to be accessible by everybody. We're going to have 4 acres is going to be our town hall and our police department, but more importantly, we're going to have our new pool there and our new municipal building, which means our place where people can come to basketball, indoor stuff, things like that. So it's going to be, again, conveniently located for everybody, brand new. And it's just going to be the heart of the town. The other 12 acres is going to be all green space with a band shell. So this is where we're going to have our community events. This is where people are going to be able to bring their families during the week, tree-lined walkways. It's just going to be gorgeous.
So talk about the journey to get the land.
Well, it's something that we've been working on. Since I was a councilman way back in 2006, 2010. I've been talking about this land where we, it was slated to have 464, I think 434 to 460 houses built there. And I never wanted that. I really wanted to preserve the green space. That's one of the things we've been trying to do. And so we were finally able to work a deal where we traded our building where we're in right now, plus a little bit of cash, to the people, to the Garcias that own that land. And we did the swap, and it now became our land. And then next thing we did with it, we said, hey, folks, we've got the land. This is not something that could happen. This is something that will happen. So we went to the community and said, what do you want to see here? We had a lot of public meetings, a lot of charrettes. People came together and said, this is what we like. And then the big part, we had to put it out for a vote. So we put it out for a vote. It's like, are you willing?
You mean to the
citizens? To the citizens. It wasn't just the 5 council voting on this. This was all the citizens of Cutler Bay saying, do you want something like this in your community? Do you want to go ahead and have what I call the jewel in your community, which should be forever, a legacy forever and ever for your kids? And by over 60% they said, yes, we want this. So we secured bonds, and we're ready to start going forward, and we're already clearing the land. We've had a couple of snafus, little setbacks. There was arsenic discovered on the property, and Dade County has some very strict rules about arsenic. So the cost of removing that arsenic dirt and bringing it back in is something that we did not anticipate, but it's something that was mandated by the county that we have to do. I tried to push back on that. I'm like, are these levels a little too tight? I still think they are, but we don't have a choice. So we're almost done with that part of it, and we're getting ready to move on to the next stage.
So from the time the thought came into whoever's mind it was, gee, if we could, was that land for sale, by the way?
No, it was not.
So you guys eyed it and you said, how could we get that over there?
It's been in my thought since, like I said, since I was originally a councilman in Cutler Bay. It's been a thought, how do we get that land, and how do we make it our park? And so it just takes a lot of time, a lot of discussion, and a lot of cooperation. Again, I want to thank the Garcia family for working with us to allow this to happen and move forward. It's just been good.
And Mayor, how long have you been serving in Cutler Bay?
Since 2000, since it was incorporated. I was on the first council way back in 2000. Yeah, 2005. I was the first councilman sworn in, so I could actually say I'm the first elected official ever for the town of Cutler Bay.
So you're celebrating the 20th anniversary coming up soon.
Coming up in November, we're having a big bash to celebrate 20 years of Cutler Bay. And
seems just like yesterday.
It does. I remember when we were deciding whether we wanted to be our own city. There was so much fear about, well, if this is going to work out, and it's been nothing but positive the entire way. We are in the control of our own destiny.
They were, as in most areas, there's people that didn't want it. And one of the things I saw is that after the first election, some of those people, I want to be in office.
They jumped right in. It's like, oh, this is actually working.
Yeah,
I want to be a part of it. So that's great. So
let's talk about the synergy, if any, between the cities and the unincorporated areas south of Cutler Bay.
So we have we have Homestead, which is the biggest city, obviously. Then Florida City is down there, and then just immediately to our north, we have Palmetto Bay and Pinecrest, and we recognize that the decisions we make in our town just really aren't just for our town, because we are part of a larger community. Now, you don't want to get too big to focus on the entire county, but we have been focusing on the South
How many people live? How many homes are there?
In Cutler Bay?
Yeah, Cutler Bay.
Roughly 15,000 to 16,000 homes of just under 50,000 people.
Okay.
So it's a good-sized community. And but so many years ago, I said I recognize that we're not in a vacuum. So what we do is going to affect our neighbors and vice versa. So when I was first a councilman, I proposed a coalition of elected officials from the south end of the county just to talk about issues, see where we could work together, or more importantly, it's like, hey, did you know that this is a problem, and where we can share information. That's been going on since. We are still doing it now that the chamber has taken it over as organizing for it. But we have the mayor of Pinecrest, Joe Corradino. We have Karen Cunningham from Palmetto Bay, Steve Losner from Homestead. And occasionally we get Florida City to come up and visit with us as well. We get together once a month and just kind of talk of things, and it's sort of like a mini League of Cities for us. But it's been very
just so
productive.
People understand, if people are living south of you and they have jobs north, they're driving through the town all the time, and typically it's not the other way around, but typically it's north.
Right.
We know Palmetto Bay had some issues, and people are always concerned about traffic, and we recognize that we live in Miami-Dade County, and there's a lot of that.
There's a lot of traffic.
And the county talks about it as mobility. The question is, how do we move around with all those cars and trucks? You just got to figure out how to do it.
I look at it from a different perspective. I don't look at it as mobility. I look at it as jobs. Because if the jobs are where you live, you don't need as much mobility. Yes. You don't need to drive to Kendall to go to work. And that's one of the main things we've been working on. How do we bring the jobs, the entertainment, the restaurants, all that to the south? And that'll alleviate everybody having to go north. All these law firms that are in Coral Gables and in downtown because they want to be close to the courthouses. I've been proposing that we split our court system into north, central, and south. So that way, most of the paralegals, they don't live in Coral Gables. They live down here. So they're the ones doing that hour and a half trek to work every morning. So if we could bring those jobs, the law firms down here, it just changes the dynamics completely.
So let's talk about with Miami-Dade County. There's a cut on a lot of charities, went from receiving money to not. And as the mayor explained to me, this was not, for most of them, that was not a renewable thing. Every year they had to apply. There were some that were on that. But for the most part, the budgets for those charities was really based upon what they got last year and what they anticipated this year.
Right.
And so we know there are a lot of people that are hurting throughout the county, and if it's not yet, they will be. What can the city do to try to help?
Cutler Bay has always taken a different approach. We've always been very, fiscally prudent. I mentioned before that at one point we were ranked by the state as being the most efficient city in Florida for our size. And since we're a smaller city, we don't have a lot of social services that we need to do on an ongoing basis. Most of our social services are either through grants from the state or through, we have our own foundation where we raise money to try to go do small things like that. But we don't have the larger thing, so we're not going to be pulling anything back that has been promised to anybody. Our biggest social services are our age-friendly events. We do 15 events a year. We've been doing that for years for our seniors, which really keeps them actively engaged, and that comes partially from state grants and also partially from our own budget, so we kind of match it. Cutler Bay has always been a good match, so we don't ever just say, hey, give us money. It's like, give us money, and we're going to match that, and we're going to show you how efficient we can be. So that's been one of the way, but we're not facing the same budget issues because, number one, it's not hard to see the future, and if you can do a politically prudent thing, let me cut taxes, but you realize that's going to have a cut in services. So you want to find that fine balance is what's going to provide a quality of life for our folks, but also not strain them too much. And I think we found a great balance. Cutler Bay's budget has been positive for the last 4 or 5 years. Looks like we're going to have another year where we're going to have our budget balanced again and not have any major issues.
So you have a city manager who's been there forever, all right, who's been in the arena for, I think, probably 40 years and being assistants or city managers.
Yeah, I think he started when he was 12,
I think so.
roughly there, because he is so engaged and he's so passionate. We couldn't have a better city manager. This is not about business for him.
You better say his name or else.
Ralph Casals.
There you go.
There you go. Ralph
There you go,
Casals.
Ralph.
Again, it's not just about the business. He actually he's engaged with the people. He understands the bigger picture of quality of life, of people's emotions, and he finds a great way to blend all that. And the best part, again, he's been around for 40 years, so it's not just knowing who to talk to, but also having them willing to talk to you because they trust you. And that's great. It really helps our city out a lot, knowing what to do, not only using our own experience, but other people's experiences as well.
So one of the things that has clearly happened over the last 25 years, it seems like it was just yesterday, is that the position of Cutler Bay has so dramatically improved. Not just when it's been a city, but prior to that, because there was available land, and then people started recognizing that there was a future, and it was easy to see that. And so I know it was one of the, I think the state awarded you a couple of years ago. They gave you some awards for, I don't know if it was senior friendly or walkability.
Age friendly.
Age
friendly. So that's one of the other things that we started. It was one of my initiatives. Back when I was a councilman. Worked with the state of having age-friendly communities. That means, are you working with your age-friendly or your elderly community as a transition through life? Are we offering them the kind of things to make sure that either they can stay in their home or they find another place to go as they transition out of work? Are they having social activities that they can do not only just for their physical health but also for their mental health to be able to engage with other people? And we've won awards for that. And we're leading the way in that by far in the South, but it wasn't something that just popped up. This is something that we've done for the last 15 years. It's been very successful. We have, for example, just today, we have our pool. We have these exercise classrooms, so all the ladies bring their noodles, do exercises in the pool. Our pool is going to be closed for some repairs, so my mother's part of that. So when I was leaving the house this morning, I had a bunch of old ladies coming over to get in my pool to do exercise. It was kind of fun to keep it going.
Let's talk about, if we could, about the new busway.
Yeah.
That's the what is it?
BRB.
BRB. That's,
Or BRT, Bus Rapid Transit.
Okay. So is it operational yet?
It's not operational, but it's really close. It looks beautiful.
And I know that we've heard these numbers, that the projections, they expect a certain number of people to be on those. We know it takes a long time. We looked at Metro Rail, how many years that took. They just celebrated their 40th anniversary.
Right.
Remember Richard Friedman? He said he called it Metro Fail.
Oh yeah,
back there.
Yeah, the white elephant back then.
Yes.
I remember that.
But eventually it came true.
Yeah.
So that transportation hopefully will be able to get people back and forth from farther south to farther north. Is there a number that you have heard that you think, say, that's pretty realistic as far as how many people might be using that?
No, I don't. I think it's a lot of speculation right now. And again, it's the Metro Rail is only one big piece of it. That gets you north and south. But if you don't have things to connect into it, it's still going to be hard. We have to convince people to actually take their car 1 mile instead of 15 miles. But again, me, I've been parroting this over and over and over again. It's not about the transportation; it's about the jobs.
So, and I'm glad you brought that up as far as this sometimes this vacant space, when we started looking at it, why was the county requiring that new roads had a bike lane in it, even though there was nothing connected? Because after a while, there's this connection that's made. Yeah. And so one of the things that we all hope for at the South End is there are going to be jobs, and people will be traveling on that busway to and from their jobs, whether it's from Homestead to or Florida City to Homestead. But do you think there's going to be a time when Dade County is going to be so expensive that we're going to have to ship workers in, like down in the Keys, where they live somewhere else, they take these buses down there?
No, I don't think we're ever going to reach that saturation point. We still have plenty of room to expand our job base, where we don't have to bring everybody. Right now, it's all, like I said, you have some heavy areas in Kendall, heavy areas in Coral Gables, downtown obviously are the heavy areas. I think we're going to move to an area where you start having more satellite, where it's being moved away from the central core of the town. Southland Mall works for the new place for that to happen.
Well, I'm glad you brought that, because that was the essence of cities, which was you can have your own government over there. You didn't have to go downtown. The community councils, which are local zoning boards, and so you didn't have to go downtown. Local chambers of commerces, and we were fortunate to be part of that revolution almost in this 10-year period to be able to do that. And I remember the first night when it passed, going to John Cosgrove's house, and going, "Wow, this is a new city." All right, Cutler Bay. Yeah. All right, it was a pretty close vote considering, but it is certainly one of the most prosperous cities that I've seen, because it's growing. It's not built out.
Right.
And in South Miami, until recently, it was built out because the city didn't want to bring any more people. But the requirement is that we, throughout this community, have to provide housing. And the question is, how can we get some of these other big companies to open up so there can be 300 people working that one and 500? Any ideas about that?
Again, government's got very limited ability to create this, and I really don't think we should. I really think it should be market driven. However, these companies may not realize what they can do to go ahead and make money and service the needs of the people, and that's what our jobs are. Really, is to find that connection, to go out there and to talk to the developers and say, I think there's a need here that you can fill. And not only is it going to make our town better and give us the things that we need, but you're also going to be profitable as well. And finding that little connection right there is what's really, really important. And that's what's happening. You say Cutler Bay is almost built out. It is. Almost all the land is spoken for now. We took 3 pieces of it for ourselves to keep it green. But we also are working with the areas where they need it, because we know housing is important. Not only the housing for the well-established professionals, but our lower level new workers need housing as well. Our teachers, our new first responders, our military bases right down the road. Those people need housing as well, and we obviously didn't have enough of it. That's why the price was so expensive. When we start getting more housing, the prices will stabilize, maybe not as increase so fast. I'm not sure if they're going to come down, because we know the dollar inflation always seems to outpace it, but we'll have more options for families that have less income.
So you mentioned about the different cities on the South End getting together. I understand there's a group that gets together in the real estate business field, and they talk to the city, say, here's the different things that are going on.
Right.
Can you talk a little bit about that?
I think it's the Miami Realty Group. They've actually had meetings in Cutler Bay, and they brought us in. And they travel actually all over the county. It's not just in the South. And they identify different areas in different cities. They've come to Cutler Bay, and I love going to speak there, because you have these realtors that are from all over the county, and they have no clue what's going on down here, until I kind of talk to them about, hey, welcome to Cutler Bay. Here's what we're doing. Here's what our community is about. And they're like, wow, how do I get in on this? So, and they're so excited about it.
Can people, on the city's website, is there the drawing of the project of the?
Yes.
So you go to Cutler Bay website.
Yeah, Cutler Bay, cutlerbay.gov is got especially the plans for the Legacy Park. Those are definitely up there. You can kind of see what our plans are. We're tweaking them a little bit, depending on the arsenic took a little bit out of it. Some things that we wanted to do, we can't do anymore. So we're tweaking it a little bit, working with our architects.
That's 16 acres. On that's going to be City Hall, the police station, and then you're going to have this big park that's there. The moms will be able to go there with their kids. And
splash pad we're looking at, yeah.
For the dads, all right?
Yeah.
So, Anyway, I understand you like to sing and play an instrument. Tell us about that.
Well, I like to sing. Like I said, we all like to sing, and my kids play instruments. My son went to school for cello at the University of Miami, and my other son plays violin. All my daughter-in-laws play violin or sing. They're in bands. So my only thing is I sing, and if any band will let me, and I know the words, I'll get up there and I don't call it make it a fool of myself, but I'll certainly demonstrate that I have confidence, not to be the best, but still have a good time.
So sometimes when I watch violinists on TV, I see them. It's not just not playing an instrument; they are part of it, and you see that they are flowing with the music and they're very animated. So it's more than just a musician. They're in the I don't want to say acting, but they're
in the moment.
Yeah, yes, and they're right there.
Yeah.
Don't interrupt them. All right.
Yeah.
Got to let them go through that. So do you get like that?
Oh, I definitely get like that.
Do we have any videos of that somewhere?
They're out there. I don't have them, but they're definitely out there. So, I mean, and going on, I've done those. I've had some other local politicians join me on stage as well. Mayor Cava has been on stage with me while I was doing that, playing tambourine for me. Mayor Cunningham as well. So, those videos are definitely out there.
Okay. So you've been in office now 20 years.
Well, I've only been in office. This is my 11th year, okay. And you can do 12 total back to back, but I took a break in between. So this is my second term as mayor. Finished this year, and then I have one more year left, and then they're kicking me out.
You mean at 26, the end of 20?
Yeah, 26. Yes.
Okay. So what then, Mayor?
Hopefully I can work on my golf game a little bit, which is awful, or I would love to serve the community still, because I really do. There's so many things that I put my heart and my soul into. I saw a vision for what I thought would be great for our community many, many years ago, and it's all finally starting to come true. Within the next 4 or 5 years, many of those things are going to be real right in front of me. So I want to make sure that I'm a part of it, where I can kind of say, I'm going to take a moment of pride and say, I helped do that.
So what's some advice to a young person who thinks everything happens so fast? If it does happen tomorrow, I don't want to do it.
Listen, if you have a vision, right, and just walk towards that daily, it's sort of like the old phrase is, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time.
Yes.
If you have a vision, just start moving forward towards it. And sorry about that.
That's right, it's for you.
Yeah, I think so.
That's not grand. That's not grand, is it?
Yeah. I apologize for that. But yeah, just get other people aligned with you as well. Don't try to do it all on your own. Be able to share what your vision is so that other people can understand it, so you can have allies helping you move forward. And that way, if you're too tired or you're no longer there, it'll continue to move forward, and eventually it'll get done.
So you've had a pretty successful life, successful family, successful business, and serving the community, not just Cutler Bay, but this community in large. So I'm sure there's some people that have helped you along your way. Would you like to share who they are? And let's get the camera on them. There we go. Talk right to the camera there.
Which one? That one?
Can he do
right
one
there?
by himself?
Okay.
Which one? Oh, there you go.
Okay.
That one right.
It starts with family. Obviously, during your formative years, and the example that that my family, my mom and my dad, being involved in the community. The next stage is at a family is your community, whether it's we're involved in our church, we're involved with our baseball league, our football leagues, our soccer leagues, and you start to establish a larger family through that. And that gives you the support system that you need. It also gives other people the trust in you to go ahead and lead them to move forward. So I think that's really, really important, is being involved in as many areas, not just being not just a community activist. Let me get out and get the vote. It's like, no, the smaller things are what counts the most. When you're playing baseball, you're not playing baseball to win a championship or become a Major League Baseball player. You're putting your kids in baseball to make friends that'll be friends there for the rest of their life, to show them how to work with other people, to show them how to deal with some adversities, and show them, quite honestly, how to listen to others and get better. So the smaller things, to me, are the most important. That's what really formed me, I think, and gave me a love mainly for my community. I'm probably the corniest mayor around, because I don't just say I like Cutler Bay. I say I love Cutler Bay.
wonderful.
And I don't just like the people in my city. I love the people in my city. I want to show them that I love them. And I think they need to show that love to each other as well. If we care about each other more than we care for ourselves, our children will learn that example. And our community, everybody's going to be a lot better for it. So
Wonderful.
that's what I'd like to do.
Here, Tim Meerbott, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Folks, thank you for joining us. And remember, community news is your #1 news source in Miami-Dade County. Have a great day. Thanks again. Bye.